underlying, that is it is going to provide you the service which you are going to be having infrastructure as a service. When you are going to have the compute as a service, so you're going to have some platform to be there to run your application, right? Some platform should be there. So now whenever you are going to have some applications, okay, so if you take the web applications for example, so the web applications will be running all the time. So whenever whatever the application you are going to have, so this particular application will be interfaced in such a way that, so it is going to be interfaced in such a way that, so it is going to be used by the user in ubiquitous way. So that means that particular web has to be uh, web has to be mostly used. So when you are going to have that particular type of applications, you are going to make use of that application and you are going to access that particular resources. Okay, so now whatever you are going to have the web interface which you are going to access the service, so that particular type of service which you are going to have, that will be interacted and it is going to perform synchronously. Okay, so for example, if you take, so in the users what we are going to have, so the user is going to navigate web page and get instant feedback in response to their actions. So that means what, so whatever the request, it is going to come. Okay, so what we are going to have, so the user is going to give some action, so that means he has to access some services. So when you want to access some services, what is going to provide, he is going to request for the page, right? So when he is going to request for the page, so the action, the instantaneous response has to come. Okay, the feedback in response has to be coming. So they are going to that particular web page has to give the instantaneous feedback. So for the action, for the action done by the user. Okay, so now for the action done by the user which you are going to have, so which you are going to have, so the feedback which you are going to have, it's nothing but what, it's a feedback is nothing but, it's nothing but the computation. So it is nothing but, your feedback is nothing but the result of some computation happening on the web application. So that means some operation it is going to perform. So computation is nothing but what, you are going to have some operation, so you are going to perform the operation. So depending upon that particular operation what is happening on the web, so your feedback will be dependent. So okay, so now when you are going to have that one, so once you are going to have that particular, any task is been given, right? So some operation or some computation you are going to perform, some operation is being given by the user, that computation has to be performed. So when you are going to give that, but that what particular computation is performed, and if it is completed, so that particular operation is, that particular task has been completed, what I need to send back, so your app engine has to send back the immediate feedback, and it has to provide you the notification. What type of notification it has to give back? So the notification which it has to give back is that, so whatever the operation it has been given for me, it has been completed, so that particular operation has been completed. Okay, so that particular operation it has to give. So apart from this particular thing which you are going to have, apart from these operations which you are going to have, so your app engine is going to provide you the application services, is going to give some of the additional services. So your app engine is going to give additional services. So whatever the service here you are giving, it is going to give by your Google App Engine only. So apart from these compute services, apart from these services, your App Engine is going to give these two additional services. What are these two additional services which you are going to have? One is your task queue, other is your cron jobs. Okay, so one is your task queue, other is your cron job. So when you talk about the task queue, okay, what do you mean by task queue? So as the name indicates, get task queue, whenever the computation or whenever the job application to be processed is given by the user to the app engine, that will be queued up. Okay, so it allows application to submit a task for a later execution. So that means that will be laid in a queue. Okay, that will be laid in a queue where the task has to run in the future. Okay, so the task will be stored in the queue, which will be executed in the later period of time. Okay, that's what it is going to have. So now how it is going to give? So now how we are going to provide that particular task queue? So for that one, since everything you are going to access through the web only, so it has to give the web request. So here it has to give the web request. How the web request will be given? The web request will be given from URL. So whatever the web request you are going to give, so using some URL, so it's uniform resource locator. So using that one, you are going to place the web request. So when you have placed the web request, so it is up to the handler there. So from this one, you are going to have the request handler, which you're going to have. So that will take care to perform the task execution. So that task handler which will be there, so that will take care to perform the task execution. So that is how it is going to happen in your task queues. Okay, so it is going to have in the queue, and you're with the help of the URL, you are going to make the request. So with the help of the URL. So after placing the request with respect to URL in the queue, so you are going to have the handler. Okay, so that particular web request handler will be there, who request handler which will be there. So that is the mainly responsible to perform the task execution. So what task execution it is going to do? So it is going to do the task execution which is there in the queue. Okay, so which is there in the queue, task queue. So it is going to see that one, and depending upon the first come first serve basis, so it is going to execute the task which is there in the queue. So the next is your another services which is going to give is your cron jobs. What do you mean by cron jobs? So cron jobs is going to tell you that, so it is going to schedule the required operation at the desired time. So you're going to schedule the required operation. So whatever the operation you are going to provide, so it has to be, that particular operation has to be scheduled at particular instance of time. So that is particular instance of time means what? So I am telling that this particular job has to be completed by 10 a.m. Okay, so that means it has to complete its execution by 10 a.m. So it cannot process, it cannot forward that particular time. So it should not complete at 1 a.m. So this will be wrong. Okay, so that will be wrong. So but it has to complete its operation at the 10 a.m. itself. That means whatever the required operation you have to complete it. So that has to complete in the scheduled period of time. So that's what your cron jobs has to do. So when it is going to do that one, so when you are going to schedule the required operation has to be completed. So whenever you are the length of the computation is not the primary reason. So you are going to, if you the length of the computation is not half the primary region, so then you are going to make use of that particular operation or the request through the URL within that particular request what you are going to provide. So now, so even if any request is being placed, so I assume that I am going to place the request telling that, so this particular process has to be completed by tomorrow. So like that, I will give the request, place the request. So now that means at that particular period of time. So I will schedule it now. So it is similar to the scheduling what we have done in your web engine, web app, your MS team, right? We are submitting your assignment space and we are going to schedule it further. So it is going to have the number of queues there. So it's a typical example what we can give, how your Google App Engine is going to place the request. So you're going to have the request with that particular request. So depending upon that particular on that particular time, so that particular whatever the operation or whatever the quiz or assignment we are scheduled it. So at that particular time, it is going to pop up on your window. So after certain period of time, I'm going to give the end time. So within that particular end time, you have to complete that particular task and it has to close that particular failure. So even if any failure is going to occur, so if any failure is going to happen in this between this one, so between in the scheduler, what I have to do is the next place. So if everything goes well, that will be completed within the given period of time. So now, if within that particular given period of time, so whether my task, whether it is going to re-execute, if it is not executing at that particular time, so here your Google App Engine is going to provide you the facility that it will not re-execute. So in the failure, it will not re-execute. So it will not re-execute the task in failure in case of failure. It will not re-execute in case of failure. Okay, so that it is going to have. So this particular behavior is going to be implemented in maintenance operations or send periodic notification. What you are going to have. So this is how the architecture computer services is going to provide with respect to the architect compute services is going to be provided. So okay, next when it comes to the next topic is your application lifecycle. Okay, so when you talk about the application lifecycle, so your app engine. So if you talk about Google App Engine, so it is going to support almost all the phases of the lifecycle of an application. So Google App Engine, if you take it will support most of the phases or support almost all the phases. So it supports almost all the phases. Okay, characterizing the life cycle. Okay, characterizing the life cycle which you are going to have. So now, what are the different phases it is going to have? So the different phases which is going to be supported here in your application lifecycle under Google App Engine is first is testing and development. Okay. So second is your deployment. Third is monitoring. So these are the three things which you're going to lifecycle is going to have. One is testing and development. Second is deployment. Third one is monitoring. So now, when you are going to have this particular SDKs, so the SDKs which is released by Google. So you are going to have the SDKs, right? So which is nothing but your software development toolkit. So where the SDK specifies software development toolkit, which you're going to have. So this particular software development toolkit, so which is released by our Google. So that means it will be released by our Google service provider. And this particular SDK, what it is going to have? So it is going to have most of the features. So most of the functionalities which is required to complete that particular task. So most of the functionalities to complete the task. So that will be there and it is going to be executed. Okay. So that is going to have. So normally if you take, if you take the Google App Engine, Google App Engine is going to support two different types of APIs. So what are these? So the APIs which is going to be supported by your Google App Engine is, one is your Java SDK. So the API, the two SDKs which is going to be supported is, one is your Java SDK, other is your Python SDK. So one is your Java Software Development Toolkit, other is your Python Software Development Toolkit. So now let us discuss one by one. What do you mean by application development and testing, and what is the application deployment and management? Okay, so when you are talking about your different phases of your life cycle of the application, so we will discuss one by one. So the first one which we need to discuss is your application deployment and testing. So now you can see it here. So in the application deployment and testing, so who is going to start building the web application? Developer. Okay, so if you take the web applications which you are going to have, so that particular web applications will be started building using a web by the developer. So that particular development, what is going to happen? Okay, so initially what will happen? It will not run in. So the development will not run on web engine first. Will not run in web engine. So that is your Google App Engine. It will not run in your Google App Engine initially. So that particular application development, but where it is going to run that one, where it is going to deploy that one. So basically it will be deployed in your, first it is going to develop in the local server. So development is going to happen in the local server. Okay, so that means whichever the system you are working, so you're going to have the standalone server. So in that particular standalone server, the building of the application is going to take place. So building of the application is going to take place in your local server here. Okay, so now, so when you're running that particular application in your local server, so what type of environment it is going to have? So basically it is going to have the self-contained environment. Okay, so in this particular self-contained environment, what is the features it is going to give for the developers? So it is going to provide you the after deploying and after creating the environment to run for that particular application. So it is going to build a server and you are going to test it. So before uploading to the web engine, so first before uploading it to the Google App Engine, what I need to do? First, I need to run on my local server. I have to test it whether that particular application is running perfectly or not. So if it is not working, I have to make the changes for my application. So then I have to make the corrections in my code, and I have to run that one in my local development server. Then I have to create the self-contained environment, so which will help the developers to tune applications. Okay, and then without uploading to the Google App Engine. So now whatever the development server you are going to have, so with respect to the App Engine runtime environment, so what it is going to provide is the first. So it is going to provide you the mock implementation. So we are going to have the implementation, right? So you are going to have the local server, right? So if I want to have running in the local server, so I should have the mock implementation of my Google App Engine. So that means the exact features what is going to be provided by your Google App Engine, that should be provided by your local server also. So like what? So if you want to run the application, I require the data. So if I require the data, I should be having some data store. So okay, to store the data. Then on top of your data store, you're going to have the memory cache. Okay, so on top of the data, you're going to store, you're going to have the memory cache. So then other services which is going to be used by given by your Goal App Engine is URL fetch. So that has to be there. And what are the different services your web application is going to leverage? So those things has to be taken care here. So now, what are the other things it has to take care here is, so besides hosting the web application, so the development server should contain the complete set of monitoring features. Okay, so the development server, so where you are testing it locally, so that should contain what? Complete set of monitoring features. So then once you have the complete set of monitoring features, what you are going to have, so when you are going to have the complete set of monitoring features, I'm going to know that what are the how that particular application is running, whether it's running correctly or whether it's having some problem, and what is the type of the behavior of that particular applications, and whether it is going to access the complete set of data from the data store, whether whatever the queries has been issued for that one, whether it is retrieving according to the queries which has been deployed there. So that those monitoring that features it has to provide. So that most of the monitoring features it has to provide. So now when you are going to have this particular type of features here, so it is going to make use of what? So these are some of the features that your local server has to provide. Okay, so once it is providing, so what I should know, so the developer should know the a priori knowledge. Okay, so that means before deploying the application or before developing the application itself, the developer should know the knowledge of the application which he is going to make use of. So the developer should have an a priori knowledge about all the possible queries. So that means what? So it is going to have all the possible queries which is going to have all the queries it is going to have here. Okay, so all the queries, possible queries which is going to be all the possible queries, so which is to be executed. So that should be known by your, that a priori knowledge should be there. All the possible queries should be known. Okay, should be known by your application development team. Okay, so now once that is done, so the development server, what it is going to do, so whatever the local server you have been created to run your application, so that is going to analyze the application behavior. Okay, after running with respect to the application behavior, it will see that whether my application is running properly or not. Okay, so after checking whether my application is properly running or not, so after checking only or after testing only, so they are going to upload onto the Google App Engine. So uploading to the Google App Engine will be done. So only testing, everything will be done in your local server. So now when you are testing in local server, so the mock features should be there, right? So it has to exactly behave in the same manner when you deploy that particular application in App Engine. That means it should have the that it should have the features of your cache, memory cache, data store, and your URL fetch. Those features has to be tested, right? So now when it comes to the application development, okay, so how, by using what? So we have discussed that it is going to make use of your Java SDK and Python SDK. So we discussed Java SDK, why it is used. Let us see that one. So if we talk about the Java SDK, so basically Java SDK is used give the facility to build applications with what? With the help of your Java 5 and Java 6 runtime environment. So that is your software JRE you are going to have, right? JRE 5 and JRE 6 it is going to make use of. That is Java runtime environment. So you have come across in your Java runtime environment which is going to have. So that is your JRE 5 and JRE 6 it is going to make use of. So whatever the application you are going to build using your Google App Engine, so it's going to make use of your Java 5 as JRE 5 and JRE 6. So now to have this one, so alternately there are other option also. Okay, so alternately there is other option also. It is possible to develop applications. So by using what? Using your Eclipse. So even it is having the Eclipse development environment. So it's going to have the Eclipse development environment, which is going to be there. So when you are going to have the Eclipse development environment, so when you are going to use that one, so what is, you have to make use of some of the plugins, right? So you have been using, so if you are using the Eclipse, you will be knowing. So what are the some of the plugins you have to make use of? So you have to use the Google App Engine plugin. So you can see here, so the Google App Engine plugin has to be installed under Java SDK. So apart from this, so the three components it has to use. So the three different components it has to use. What are the three different it has to use? First, I have to have the Java SDK. So first I should install the Java SDK. Next, I should have the Google Web Toolkit. So whatever the facility your application require to run that application in web, so that particular toolkit it should require, and some of the plugins. So the Google App Engine plugin you should have into Eclipse. So I have to plugins has to be installed into your Eclipse. Okay, so those have to be done. So now whatever the SDK you are going to have, so this particular Java SDK, it is going to support the development of applications by using the servlet abstraction. So it is going to support. So if you take your Java SDK, it is going to support by using what? By using the servlet abstraction. So you are going to have the Java servlet. So using the Java servlet, it is going to create some of the abstractions. Using that particular abstraction, it's going to be used. So next, another some of the plugin developing you are going to have. So it will provide you the rich set of tool set to build the application. So now when you when you think about the developer, so what the developer is going to do? So the developer can easily create web applications. So here the developer can easily application by using the Eclipse web platform. So you're going to have the Eclipse web platform. So using that particular Eclipse web platform, so you are going to make use of web applications. So some of you, if you have gone through that one, you will be knowing. So to build the web applications, you are going to make use of Eclipse web platform. Okay, so that if you are using that one, so then you will be knowing that one. So now whatever the plugin you are going to have here, so the plugins which you are going to have, what it is going to allow, the plugins which you are going to have, that Google App Engine plugin, the Google App Engine plugins, which is there. So this, what it is going to allow, it is going to allow you the developing, testing, and deploying applications. Okay, so three operation it is going to Google App Engine plugin is going to provide. So one is your development of the application. Second is your launching of the application, developing, and second is your testing of the application. So next is your deployment. So these things will be taken care by your Google App Engine plugins only. Okay. So next, when you are going to have this particular plugins, so when you are going to have the other task which is be running, so the log has to be maintained. So some log will be there in the plugin. So the log, what is going to keep track of? It will keep track of the applications. Okay, so it will keep logs will be maintained here. So it will be keep maintained the operations. Okay, the number of operations which is going to have, that will be maintained in the log which you are going to have. So next, when it is coming to the next SDK, that is your Python SDK. So if you talk about the Python SDK, so it is going to be allowing a web application for App Engine with Python 2.5 SDK. So this particular SDK allows what? It is going to allow you the develop the web applications using the Python 2.5. Okay. So even whatever we are discussing is with respect to the web application only. So here we are going to make use of Python SDK to build the web application. So what it is going to provide? Next is the question. What your Python is going to provide? So basically, if you talk about the Python, so it is going to provide you the standalone tool. Okay, it is going to provide you the standalone tool. So that particular tool is referred as Google App Engine Launcher. So the standard tool which Python 2.5 is going to provide is called as Google App Engine Launcher. So now, for what purpose it has been used is the next question. So the purpose of using your Google App Launcher is to manage the web applications locally. Okay, so first I have to manage the web applications locally. Then after managing locally, then I have to deploy into the web app engine. So that is your Google App Engine. I have to deploy it. So to use this particular environment, so the tool provides a convenient user interface. So it should have some proper user interface So which will be having the available web applications and what is the controls of for their execution, and integrates them with the default code editor for editing the particular application. So apart from this one, so you're going to have the web app. Okay, so you're going to have the web app here. So what this particular web app is going to include is the next question. So you're going to have the web app. So this particular web app which you have been built using Python SDK. So that includes a set of models. So that includes the set of models and the components which you're going to have and the tools you're going to use. So which will simplify the development of web application. So your web app which you're going to have, so that is includes the set of models and some set of components which you're going to have, and which will be helpful in simplifying the development of web applications. Okay. So next, when it comes to the application lifecycle, so the next stage which you are going to have in the application lifecycle is application deployment and management. So now, when you are going to deploy it, only once your application is been generated or developed. So once application is developed, so if your app is developed, once app is developed, okay. So what I need to do? So it has to be developed and tested. So it has to be developed once app is developed and tested. So now what is the next operation? Next I have to deploy on WebAngine. So using either you can be using the simple click or command line tool. So with the help of the simple click or the command line, so you have to make use of deploying that particular application. Okay. So also you can deploy that particular application using the Google App Engine Launcher. So you're going to have the Google App Engine Launcher. So with the help of the Google App Engine Launcher also you can deploy the application, and using the Google App Engine plugins also. So you're going to have the Google App Engine plugins, the plugins which are there to launch. So the plugins which will be helpful in launching or deploying. Okay, both are same, launching or deploying. So there are some set of plugins will be there. So those will be taken care for launching your application or deploying your applications. Okay, so that has to be taken care by your Google App Engine plugin. So now when it comes to the Google App Engine plugin, so when you are going to access any web applications, so the web applications has to need the address, right? So if you want to access some web applications through web, it requires some address. So the address which is going to be processed here is http applicationid.appspot.com. So where the comms specifies as commercial, right? So that you have been gone through in your web technology, I think, so that you will be knowing. Okay. So you're going to locate the application using the, so you are going to locate the application. Okay. So it is this particular locate the application by using the or by typing the address. So this is the address what is going to have. So alternately you can use. So alternately also you can use it by what? So even if you are using directly the address, you can access it. Or alternatively, so if you talk about alternately, so alternately it can be used to map the application with registered DNS domain name. So you are going to have the domain name server. So we are, for the particular IP address, you are going to have some name. Using that name also, you are going to launch the application with your Google App Engine. So these are the two different types of we are going to make use to deploy the applications. Once it is deployed, so I have to monitor it. So next comes after deployment and management. So monitoring is going to take place. So how we are going to monitor that particular application? So whether your application is running properly or not. So that I have to take care. So monitoring the application. So I have to check that whether running properly. So running properly, whether it is executing all the tasks which is required. So those things has to be taken in mind. Okay, so these are the two things how it will be deployed and managed. So the next is your cost model. So when you're going to build your Google App Engine or build your application, how to build that one is the next question. So I have built the Google App Engine. So next is how to build that particular build the application. Okay, so depends upon the complexity of the application, you can have the billing rates. So because if my application is complex, I can fix my rates to be more. So now if I want to have the my application is not that much sensitive, then I can bill in a reasonable rate. So that's what we are going to have. So now, so if you take the billing model, so normally anything, so if you take the any cost, if you are going to have, so in your Google App Engine also, what is going to have some of the applications which you are going to use. So Google App Engine, which you are going to have, so that will provide you the free service. Okay. So free service it is going to provide with limited quotas. So this you can take it as a assignment and you can do it. Okay. So with limited quotas, that means only limited set of features will be there when you are accessing the App Engine using free service. Okay. So then this particular free service, what is going to be used? So that will be resetting for every 24 hours. So now, once you have been tested and tuned for App Engine, so by that time you can have the billing account. So once you have been tested, so you can bill it only after testing that particular application. So whether that particular application is working fine or not. So at that particular part of time, you are going to set up a billing account. Okay, so you are going to set up a billing account and it can be charged on a pay-per-use basis. So it can be charged on pay-per-use basis. Okay, so what is the developer is going to use? So what it is going to allow? Okay, so when you are charged on the pay-per-use basis, what it is going to allow for a developer? So here the developers this allows developers to identify the appropriate daily budget. So it identifies them. This allows it allows developers to identify the appropriate daily budget. That means how much that particular app has been used and how much bill has to be put, so that has to be taken care. So how much billing has to be done. So now if you take the billing, so how the billing is measured? So the application is measured depending upon what? So it is billable quotas. That means when you access any applications, they will charge. For example, you tell that, so for 500 hours, I will charge around 500 rupees initially. I will tell. So after this particular quota is over, so after this 500 hours of usage is over, then it is going to be charged on hour basis. So whenever you are going to deploy any applications, that particular application is measured in terms of billable quotas also and your fixed quotas also. Fixed quotas is what? So for 1 year, I am going to pay this much. So for 1 year, I am going to have, I will pay around 2000 rupees. Okay. So that means as many times you can use this one. So it is not limited there. So it is not limited. So the consumption of hours on that particular application is unlimited. So consumption of app is unlimited. Okay. So that you are going to take care. Okay. So that will be done on frequently. So that is going to be in billable quotas it's going to have. And sometimes when you are going to have the sensitive applications that, so if you don't have the money, I'm going to take some applications, I'm going to build depending upon the minute basis also. So even in per minute basis also you can be built. So now once that particular application reaches the quota, so that means whatever the quota you have been accessed, so that means either it may be a billable quota depending upon the usage, or it is fixed, that means for this much amount, this much resource I am going to use, or if you are going to make use of per minute quota which you are going to have. So after this particular quota, depending upon the type of the quota which you are going to have, which you have been accessed. So now once this particular quota is over, so quota over, what will happen? So you're not able to deplete, you are not going to make use of those resources. So now the resource will start depleting. Once the quota is over, the resource depletes. So when you make the subsequent request to access that particular resources, now once the resource is depletes, what will happen? That particular service you cannot access through Google App Engine. So now even if you place the request to access that particular service, what it is going to give? So it is going to basically generate an error. So now once the resource depletes, so even request mates, what will happen? Even the requests are made. So even the requests are made. So it generates an error. Okay. So it generates an error or an exception. Generates an error or an exception, which is going to have. Okay. So these are some of the things which are going to have in your cost model. Okay. So after having these things, so that is about your Google App Engine. Okay, so anybody having any doubt in your Google App Engine? So in today's class, we discussed about application So anybody having any doubt in Google App Engine?